Welcome back to Games Revealed. I'm James and also the Brink, and today we're diving into the Lenovo Legion Go 2, a handheld that has basically been doing push-ups in the shadow all year, waiting to square up with the Steam Deck, the Ally, and whatever handheld Soldier Boy is cleaning up these days. It's in the shadows because it's been released for a while now, but you haven't been able to get one very easily. It's what took me a couple months to get it. I've spent over 40 hours with this thing playing No Man's Sky, Prey, Baldur's Gate 3, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Mass Effect 2, Hogwarts Legacy, Control, and Helldivers 2 for some multiplayer flair to that. I have played other games, but those are the main games I'm going to list now. Cyberpunk, of course, I've played that. I play that on everything. It's just like the game you slap just into a device to see how it runs. So I've stress tested it, updated it, upgraded it, broke it, and fixed it. And yeah, we need to talk. This thing is way better than I expected. And just as note, I am reviewing the 32GB Z2 Extreme model with an upgraded 4TB SSD running 2 operating systems. So let's get into it. First up, design and build. This is where this thing kind of shines at times. The Legion Go 2 keeps Lenovo's big handheld identity, but smooths out almost every issue from the first model. Ergonomics feels noticeably lighter because the redesigned controllers removed the harsh edges from last year, or the last version. The weight distribution is improved, though you still want the kickstand for long sessions, whether in bed or on a table. The split grip design is still a chef's kiss with all the different ways you can play: hotel TV mode, detached dual controller mode, or docked mode. The kickstand is finally solid. No more floppy hinge anxiety to worry about, but it's nice. Buttons and sticks. Joysticks are a bit tighter than last year, but still looser than I prefer. They are Hall effect sticks, which is great. So if you don't want it to wear down because they're expensive, the joystick should be the last thing to fail. Face buttons feel improved with a softer, more premium press. The trackpad is still not Steam Deck tier. Nothing is, but it's way better than the Gen 1 and perfect for quick Windows navigation. Now, the comfort comparison, this is my take on this whole thing, because I think for everyone it's a little different. It's more comfortable than the original Ally, but less comfortable than the Legion Go S and the Xbox Ally X. It's a compromise, not a bad one, especially considering the huge screen, and weirdly, it doesn't feel much bigger than my deck in a kill switch case. Now, as far as the display goes, this is actually where it truly shines. Now, the controls and all that are nice, but the display is amazing. The Legion Go 2's 8.8-inch OLED display is still the main flex, the biggest mainstream handheld display, and honestly one of the prettiest. 1920 by 1200 resolution, basically a 1080p with more vertical room. So you can think of it as an aspect ratio of 16 by 10, similar to the Steam Deck. It has 144 hertz refresh rate, fantastic color accuracy, and deep blacks. It's got that variable refresh rate and HDR without any of the weird ticks that we've seen in OLEDs on handhelds in the past. I have yet to see any major issues with this display. It is perfect so far. Outdoor use is okay, but the glossy screen still catches the glare, and you're just going to get that with glossy screens. Now, if it had a matte or an anti-glare screen, that's a different case. That can dull the image, and so kind of get rid of the reason to have the OLED in some ways. So maybe we'll get better tech in the future, but this is the best for now that I know of. The mini tablet handheld vibe is still there, and I love it. Games like Witcher 3, Baldur's Gate 3, StarCraft 2 just hit different on the screen. You can see the little characters. Baldur's Gate 3's little characters. You can kind of detail and see like if your character is sickly or dying or not, or StarCraft 2 if that's a SCV or a probe or something, like you could tell at least. I still think 8 inches is the perfect size. This is slightly bigger than that, but the OLED and the kickstand absolutely make up for it. Audio and speakers. The sound got a real upgrade this version. The speakers are much louder, clearer, and have a way better clarity than the first model. Dialogue, sound cleaner, explosions and gunfire hit a little harder, a little bit more bass there, and overall audio feels more premium which I'd hope so for how much we spend. They're still upward firing though, so other handhelds with front-facing speakers will sound more immersive still. You'll get more out of it and more clarity. But overall, this is a big improvement and totally usable for a handheld gaming without headphones. Before, if I was near my kids, I'm not hearing any games, any dialogue for the most part on the old one. This one, it ramped up. It's a little louder and it works. I still recommend playing this device with headphones, which with the Steam Deck, it's not going to be the Steam Deck or the Xbox Ally X. I think those will have the best speakers, but it gets close enough to where it doesn't bother me like the first one did. This next section should be the crowning point of this device. Well, it's not. It's a mixed bag. Now, things get interesting with this. The Legion Go 2 ships with the AMD Ryzen Z2 Extreme, and performance sits a little higher than the Z1 Extreme from last gen, which is disappointing on paper. But here's the twist. It performs much better than the Z1 Extreme at mid-range TDPs, meaning you get higher FPS while using less power. For a handheld, that is a massive win. Because you want battery on the go. For me, I'm usually by an outlet, but still, it's nice to know that at least there's some big improvement. Raw performance notes: 1200p gaming is generally viable on this device compared to the 1600p on the Legion Go 1, and it honestly is. You only see a little bit more of a hit on this compared to like the Xbox Ally X is 1080 screen. So it is still like you're gonna get better performance on the Xbox Ally X, but this is still very viable on this. FSR helps, but can look crunchy on large screens, depending on the game. We know how the FSR goes. It is still nice, but if you have to use it in a game, you'll see it, just like on a lot of other handhelds. Thermal throttling, haven't seen any. The huge fan keeps it stable so far. I haven't had any issues. Fan noise is loud by default, but adjustable, and no high-pitched coil whine kind of stuff. The battery life, huge upgrade over the original Legion Go. 74-watt battery, OLED efficiency, better mid-TDP performance, real-world battery life, 2 hours for heavy AAA titles, 3 hours for mid-range titles, 4 hours for indie games, and 5 hours for web and video. So you're going to be able to, honestly, if you tweak a couple of things, you might actually get better battery life than what I even mentioned here. It's really about how you tweak and what you play on this device. And that's just any handheld device. But the OLED doesn't feel like it's dragging it down like it has dragged some portable devices in the past. Now, benchmarks. We're going to talk a little bit more about performance. So to keep things consistent across Windows and Bazzite here, which I'm showing you numbers between the two, here are a few benchmarked games that I recommended. They're easy to test and give clear, repeatable results. Cyberpunk 2077 is a gold standard built-in benchmark. Is perfect for thermals, GPU load, and FSR clarity. So it's definitely, it looks good. It runs great on the Legion Go 2. With the Steam Deck, there's parts that just tend to just bog down the device. You can get through the game on this device, but it's not, in my opinion, pleasant. But I also played it on a 3090 originally, so being able to play it on the Legion Go 2 was definitely much better. Now, next up is a very unusual type of benchmark, but it's a game I actually enjoyed, and I kind of just wanted to throw this in here as a brutal kind of test. It's to test the Unreal performance side of things, and it's got the high-end visuals, great for showing GPU headroom or lack thereof, and it has that Unreal 5, some of those Unreal 5 issues. So at 20 watts, most games land in the 40 to 60 FPS range at 1200p. At 15 watts, the Go 2 pulls ahead of last year's Z1 Extreme handhelds because of better mid-range efficiency. And then FSR looks good in some titles, but in Cyberpunk and Callisto Protocol, keep resolution closer to native if you can, as it will get a little crunchy. You're definitely going to see some good numbers here. So let us know if there's other titles you'd like to see in the future and future reviews. Like, is there a game that you prefer to see that's easy to benchmark? Software and OS. Legion Space 2.0 is a glow up. It's faster, cleaner, and finally stable. per game profiles actually work. TDP control is consistent. The overlay doesn't randomly disconnect. Sleep and resume are dramatically better if on Windows, but even more so on Bazzite. Windows 11 is still Windows 11 for better and worse. So this is my setup. I did things a little differently. I mentioned that I had a 4 terabyte SSD installed into this thing. Well, I installed it with the Windows 11, and I also had Xbox full screen mode enabled and disabled at times throughout testing this thing. And I added Bazzite, which, speaking of, I do have a SteamOS versus Bazzite video that you can check out. Maybe I'll have it below, or you can always just check it out in my Steam Deck playlist on my channel. Windows works fine, but I'd be lying if I said I boot into it often. Bazzite is just so much better for quick handheld gaming, and the suspend and resume actually behave really well compared to Windows, which just sometimes has issues. Like I had my Windows handheld, and I gotta say, it it would come alive and it would start to overheat, but I could feel it. So luckily, it has safety features to help prevent it from overheating, but it's still not great to. I just don't want. I fear it overheating and breaking in my backpack. With Bazzite, I've had zero issues. I still, for long trips, I still will just turn it off out of safety sake. But if I'm flying and if I'm going to be going in between like places like 30 minutes where I know I can keep an eye on it, it's not that big a deal. And I have yet to have issues with Bazzite yet. But Windows, it is not completely ideal. If you're on the go a lot, Bazzite is the move to go. So let's kind of go back into the thermals area and also talk about noise. The Go 2 runs cooler than the original and feels more balanced than the Ally X. Thermals, APU temps sit around 60 to 65 Celsius during gaming, and that's on the APU itself, not the device itself. Hottest point is the top exhaust, around 105 Fahrenheit, so it is definitely cooler than, than a hot summer day in Las Vegas. And I'll say, don't touch the cement there. But you can touch this exhaust. I still don't recommend touching the exhaust, but it's not going to burn you. Controllers stay around 85 degrees Fahrenheit because they're detachable and don't heat up internally. They just don't heat up from your hands. It's as simple as that. Noise, fans spin up often, but no airplane takeoff kind of moments. Louder than the Steam Deck OLED. Quieter than the original Ally and the first Legion Go. It still has, it's still a little annoying, I'll say that, but it's definitely not nearly as bad, and with some tweaking, you should be able to get it so it's a little bit more quiet if you want. The Detachable Controller's FPS mode is back. Its mouse-like control feels better this year. Tracking is smoother. Still niche, but fantastic for shooters once you adjust. RTS games like StarCraft 2 are surprisingly good with it, which I don't even like using the trackpads, I'll be honest, for StarCraft 2, but this is definitely a step up. Still, I personally avoid FPS mode because it takes me time to retrain my brain. Same deal with the Steam Deck trackpads, but I'll keep testing it with competitive shooters and let you know in the future if I get used to it. I want to believe. Mods, accessories, and the community for this thing. Lenovo listened. The ecosystem is much better. They improved everything I complained about. The included soft case feels like a downgrade, but it saves a lot of space in a bag. Charging speeds are improved. Community mod support is already huge. Like Etsy is full of custom accessories, turning it into a laptop, which is kind of funny, but to each their own. And docking compatibility is better than the Ally X, which was a hit or miss on the Xbox Ally X. I still haven't tried many accessories yet, but everything I've used so far works cleanly. I'll test a controller puck or like that controller connector when I get one soon. Hopefully I don't have to spend the $70 that they charge. It has a battery built in, which is nice, but there's cheaper options, and so I'll look there. Now, the big comparison, Steam Deck OLED. Still the king for overall experience, SteamOS, seamless gameplay, battery life, and just pure handheld vibes, but performance doesn't match the Go 2. But the price is a lot less. You can get sounds horrible, but you can get almost 3 Steam Deck OLEDs for the price of one of these. Now, if you daisy chain them, it might make sense, but you could get your whole family's, I guess, Steam Decks, and instead of just getting one selfish device for yourself. Xbox Ally X is, in comparison, best raw power. Technically, with those AI cores, I don't know if it matters yet, but we'll see. Refined Windows experience, best ergonomics, but much smaller screen and fewer use case options compared to the Legion Go 2, which the Legion Go 2, the big badass OLED screen handheld, is shockingly comfortable, much better Windows experience than Gen 1, and it's fun, versatile, and expensive. You're going to have a lot of fun. There's a lot of choices with this thing. If you like options, this is probably the device for you. If you don't like expensive things and don't care about the options, this is probably definitely not for you. There's something else that you might be able to suffice with, maybe a laptop or something. Now, who should buy it? Buy the Legion Go 2 if you're willing to pay a premium for a premium device. You want a handheld that can do almost everything, or you don't mind installing Bazzite for a better experience. So, like, if you want a Steam Deck, but you're like, well, I also want a bigger screen, I want a couple other things. Even the mouse mode on this works in Bazzite mode. So you don't really lose anything using Bazzite with this thing. But skip it if you already own the Legion Go 1 and just get new controllers with it. Like the new controllers that this device has, which make it much more comfortable, you can just buy them for, like, I think, I don't know, like, it's actually kind of expensive. I think one controller is 70, the other one's like 50, so it's kind of pricey, but it's better than buying a whole new device where you're going to get better mid-range TDPs, but I don't know if it's worth $1,400. Skip it if you already have a Z1 Extreme handheld. Wait for the next gen of Z series chip or the Steam Deck 2. I'm pretty sure you're going to get much better performance upgrades than going from the Z1 Extreme to the Z2 Extreme. It's just kind of my opinion. Now, if you want, you could sell your device and get this. That might be one way to do it. But also another thing is skip it if you want something more affordable like the Go S. The Go S has that Z1 Extreme chip in it, and it's about $600 to $700 on sale right now, which is crazy for, I believe, the 32 gigabyte version too. So it's got an 8-inch screen. It's got better ergonomics actually than this. It's a good device, and it's half the price almost. After buying it, you're like, that's really expensive, but I've been enjoying it so much that it was definitely worth it for me. So final verdict on this thing: best Windows Bazzite handheld this year, I think, bar none. Like, I just think it's the best one. But the price will be a deal breaker for a lot of people. And if you really want like a truly Xbox experience, then maybe the Xbox Ally X is the one for you. That screen made me cry. I literally, figuratively, almost cried when I opened up that device and tried it out. And you can check out my review on my channel because I really did want to like that. And I do think it's a device for some people, but this is my Windows and not Steam Deck handheld of the year. I really like it a lot, and I plan on using it this holiday season. Okay, and that's the Legion Go 2. A big, beautiful Windows powered handheld that finally found its identity. If you want a full SteamOS versus Bazzite versus Windows performance breakdown, I can always do that. Let me know in the comments below, because the differences on these devices are actually wild. Like SteamOS, Bazzite, very similar, but still have a lot of differences, which I do have a video about that. SteamOS versus Bazzite. You can go check it out. But let me know if you want to see like even if it's just like SteamOS and Bazzite versus Windows, like that might be a good team up. And with that, make sure to like, subscribe, bash that bell with your crowbar so you don't miss out on any new videos coming out. And if you want some raw numbers for this device, if you want me to sit down and actually run more benchmarks, let me know, because I can do that. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace out later.